Okay, we talked in class about ice cream chords in the past, and one of what I want to show you here is a way to do ice cream chords in a different key than what we learned in class. This one's in the key of G. So if you have a singer can't their voice quite in the same way, or for the purposes of our recital, we're going to play it in G. The chords are G, E minor, C, and D7. I'm going to first show them in the simple small hands version, where you're just playing the thin strings, and then I'll bring it up to the bigger versions and the more complicated parts. And feel free to advance yourself, work on them, see how far you can get, and we'll apply the parts in class. The small version starts with a G, and the way we learned to do a G was with the little finger, with the pinky on the first string, 3rd fret, and we're going to strum 3 or 4 strings, either or. And that's our G chord. Our next chord is an E minor, which we're going to take our middle finger and we're going to place it here on the 4th string, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2nd fret, and again we're going to strum 4 strings. Next, we have the C chord, which, if those of you remember it from last year, pointer finger is on the 2nd string, 1st string, 2nd string, at the 1st fret, and we're going to strum 3 strings. And the last chord that we need is the D7, and this one's going to require the most work because it is ring finger on the pointer finger still stays on the 2nd string, 1st fret. We're going to add the ring finger on the 1st string, 2nd fret, and the middle finger on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, and we're going to strum 4 strings. So, first thing you want to do is practice switching between the chords comfortably and being able to go from one to another without having to stop constantly. And then we want to put it into time, and we're going to play 2 measures on each. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, D7, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And just get comfortable with that. Start slow. That's my G. There's my E minor. There's my C. And there you have it. If you want to take this a step higher, a little more tricky in case you want to improve yourself, one thing you can do is when you're going from E minor to C, just add the pointer finger on the 2nd string, 1st fret. Keep the middle finger down and strum 4 strings. This could be a step towards later on playing the full C chord, which looks like this, and I'll explain it a little later in the video. So if you want to do that, 1, 2, 3, 4, E minor, just add the pointer finger to get the C, and when it's time to move to the D7, your middle finger is going to slip 1 string down, and then you just have to add the ring finger, 2, 3, 4, and that's a way for you to always have a finger moving from one place to another, and getting your fingers stronger and taking a step forward to the big chords. But that's that. The next step is to try to do full big chords on all the string rolls, almost all the strings, depending on the chord, to get a bigger, fuller sound. We're going to start with a G chord like this. So it's also good to do, you can do the G, there's two ways to do a G, this way and this way. If you will notice, the trick is that we're pressing down the same spots every time. We're just using different fingers for it. For our purposes, or I should say, this G is more often than not, this one's the more useful version to go for because it opens up a lot of things you can do. But for our purposes, this one will be the better choice, and it's also the easier option of the two. So it's good to kind of start with that. So I got my ring finger on the first string, 3rd fret. My pointer finger on the 5th string, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2nd fret. My middle finger on the 6th string, 3rd fret. And I'm strumming all the strings. And that's our G chord. Next, the E minor, the big boy version, you're going to keep the pointer finger right where it's at. We're going to take off the ring finger, and the middle finger is going to move here to the 4th string, 2nd fret, right underneath the pointer finger. One thing you might have to do is slide the pointer finger slightly back to make room for the middle finger to squeeze into that fret. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then our middle finger is going to stay put. Our pointer finger is going to move here to that 2nd string, 1st fret. Middle finger, remember, still stayed where it's at. And the ring finger is going to reach all the way up here to the 5th string, 3rd fret. We're going to try to aim to strum 5 strings. If you occasionally hit the 6th string, it's no big deal. Also, another thing you can do is, if you notice, my ring finger is actually sitting on the string, but it's lightly touching. I don't know if you can see that in the video, but it's touching the 6th string. As a result, if I do hit that 6th string, the sound dies so quickly that it doesn't affect the chord. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we're going to move to the D7 chord, which is the same as the small version. Notice that the ring finger has to move all the way down here to the 1st string, 2nd fret. Middle finger just has to slip one string down, which I talked about that switch a little earlier in the video. And there you have it. So we got G this way, going to an E minor. Notice that the pointer finger stayed exactly where it was, it did not move. Middle finger stays now as I'm setting up for the C. Pointer finger now stays for the G. When you're going back to G, you kind of have the shape going. You just have to take your pointer finger and your middle finger, move them all the way up to the 6th and 5th string, and slide one fret up. And there you have it. Okay, let's talk about strumming this song. And what we're going to do is we're going to get a little more elaborate with the strumming hand, with the right hand, in my case, or left hand if you're left-handed, and just create, rather than keep a simple beat, we're going to get a little fancier with this. It's going to sound like this. You want to strum this over the sound hole. when you're practicing this. I'm doing this over here just so you can see it in the frame. Notice that my hand keeps moving at the same pace. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, and 4, and 1. It's just that sometimes on the way up, I'm actually going to hit the strings and create some more interesting rhythms. The way it's going to work is 1 is going to be a downstroke. 2 is going to be a down up. 1, 2, and then the 3 beat is going to be the trickiest one. It's actually when we're going to miss the downstroke. So it's going to look like this: down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, up, down, up. Now, again, start slow and get comfortable with it. What you want to do is kind of have a memory of how it sounds. Da 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 ba da da ba ba da ba da da. And that's how you're going to create eventually the rhythm, be able to strum it without having to think about it too much. 2. E minor. You may also notice that I'm actually lifting my fingers in the left hand to get the next chord a little early before the strum starts. As a result, like the last upstroke kind of sounds going against the open strings. Let me do it slowly so you'll see what I mean. 1, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, up, down, up. See, I'm kind of getting my fingers ready on that last up, down, up, last 2 beats right before the chord change. Getting my fingers in the air right above the strings where they need to be. And yes, there's some weird accidental sounds, but once the song goes at the tempo that it goes, nobody will notice. They'll just kind of serve as a sort of a transitional sound. There you have that. Please forgive the tuning, it's very hot and the guitar refuses to stay in tune. I want to talk a little bit about now playing arpeggio, which is what I'm doing in arpeggios is I'm breaking up the chord. Instead of playing strumming across all the strings and playing them at once, I'm playing a pattern that sort of uses the chords or certain strings from the chord separated in a certain order. What I'm doing here is I'm plucking, I'll do it here so you can see it. I'm always, for the G chord, or for all the chords, first I'm plucking one of the bass notes, one of the 3 thick strings. In the case of the G, it's the big thick one. And then I'm plucking a pattern on the thin string. So I'm going 3rd string, 1st string, 2nd string, 3rd string, 2nd string. Bass, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2. Bass 3, 1, 2, 3, 2. And I'm just going to apply that pattern to every chord. On the E minor, again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pluck same strings, same pattern, but because I'm holding an E minor chord or a different chord, it's going to sound different. Next, there's the C chord. This time I'm going to switch. My pick is going to pluck actually the 5th string. The other strings, the pattern stays exactly the same. And on the D7, the first pluck is going to be on the 4th string. The other strings all stay the same. Altogether, it sounds like this. And I go through the pattern twice. The pattern itself is 1 measure long. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 4 and 1. Another thing that I'm adding is I'm playing here. I'm putting my hand right against the saddle where the strings stop touching the bridge here. I'm getting a more sharper tone, muted. And getting a cool little texture that works really well for this song. Next we're going to do a part that kind of fits more of an electric guitar part, but you can still play it on acoustic. It's what we call a backbeat. And it's a good tool to use to make your song a little more driving at times. That's what it sounds like. What I'm doing, as you can see, I'm doing slightly different chord versions of the chord. The reason why is because now I'm actually going to pluck only strum on the thin strings for this, and because I'm pressing on every one of the strings, I can cut the strings shorter, the length of the song, the note shorter, which gives it that sort of punchy beat effect. I'm starting with this for the G chord. You might recognize this kind of like an F chord that just moved up to the 3rd fret, and that's exactly what I'm doing. The one key difference that I have to point out here is I'm actually going to hold the pointer finger on 2 strings. If you end up muting that 1st string, it's not a big deal. Sometimes might even be a healthy habit for this kind of playing. So don't worry about that 1st string. But try to get both. Again, the next chord is an E minor, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to add the pinky, the little finger, on the 2nd string, 5th fret. And there's my E minor. Next, I have a C chord, and what I'm doing for C chord is I'm flattening my ring finger to hold strings 4, 3, and 2, with the 1st string being muted. And for the D7, we're actually going to do a D chord rather than a full D7. We're just going to slide that ring finger up to the 7th fret. Um, let's talk about the strum. What I do here, strumming wise. The trick, first of all, I'm strumming on the down up on the second beat and just down on the fourth beat. So it's 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. So you see I'm skipping a lot of beats here just to create some space that are going to be fitted in with other instruments. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 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 1, 2, and 3, 4. Yeah. Another tool that I'm using for this is lifting up my fingers. You'll see that when I play, my fingers, all they do, the left hand, is let go of the pressure of applying the pressure on the strings, just enough where I'm still touching the strings, but they can't vibrate. And there you have that trick. To top it all off, I'm going to show you the bass part here. The bass guitar is tuned like the 4 thick strings of a guitar. So when you can actually practice this on a regular guitar, and once you get handed a bass, play the same thing, and then you'll hear the difference, how much it makes to add the bass in. What I'm doing, notice that I'm always using one finger here with the left hand. And I'm actually using, because I have to press the strings and I have to press them really hard, and on bass it's going to be even harder because it's bigger, thicker strings. I'm actually using the middle finger to help me by pressing the middle finger on top of the index finger and squeezing with the thumb in the back of the neck to get the notes I need. I'm starting at the 4th string, 5th fret, right where the dot is. I'm also pressing the 2 notes together, but I'm going to slightly slide my hand around to get just the note I need. So I'm starting 4th string, 5th fret, and I move to the note right above it on the 5th string, 5th fret. Notice that rolling motion. For the E minor, I'm going to do the same thing, only this time it's going to be at the 2nd fret. For the C, I'm going to do the same thing, only it's going to be, first of all, it's going to be in the 3rd fret, and it's going to be on the strings 5 and 2, the 2 big thick string. And finish it off on the D at the 5th fret, but on the 2 thick strings right above where we did it on G. And then when I go back to G, I'm already at the right fret. I just gotta slightly adjust. And that's all the parts. Enjoy.